My brother lives in New York City, and we thought he had the ultimate fusion restaurant, which was Italian Jamaican.
Mhm.
But it sounds like you've got it beat out.
Yeah, no, it's a place. So it's primarily Mexican and Chinese, but you get the best Cuban black beans and jerk fried rice to
Oh,
go
wow.
with it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
but like we'll get we regularly get a jade red chicken, which is like it's a spicy, deep fried dish where it's not like a sweet and spicy because I hate sweet and spicy.
Yeah.
But then it's in a quesadilla.
Ooh.
Or
everything in a quesadilla is better.
Exactly, or a burrito.
Yeah.
I'm glad I ate already.
Me too.
We have not. It's sushi night.
I'm actually.
Nice.
Ooh,
We
nice.
had that last night.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
the other thing that would be nice for me if I moved out there is that I would be on a better schedule for all the night owl East Coasters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I am not a night owl.
I am a night owl, but I'm also an early morning person. So,
Oh, wow.
and
That works.
like right now, I'm at work I'm logged into work at 4 a.m. twice a week.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So, and then I usually try to get up early to hike. So I prefer to be a night owl.
Yeah.
So
but-
you're like at the other end of night owl. Like you're like a late night
I'm
owl.
an early owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day late night owl.
Yeah, but like,
Alright.
I'd love to be up till midnight, but I need to be in bed by 10:30 most nights, and 9 o'clock on when I have to be up at 4 or 3:15.
It's like you have a night owl and an early bird, and you're an early owl.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Or a late
Late
bird.
bird.
Late bird.
Let me see. Where's that going to?
Seem like you're good.
No one knows, love.
You want to hear us?
Oh, that's why stupid thing stole my speakers again. There we go. Okay,
Oh,
I can hear.
excellent. Thank you,
Alright.
guys. We appreciate it.
Yay! And Cass is all right. Mew,
I'm
you're
warning
leading
y'all. I'm tired and I am dyslexic right now. So if I mess up words, I apologize.
I'm going to enjoy listening to you read the working nerd section.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh jeez. Maybe I should have given myself that. 1 second. Let me read. Just kidding.
No. Nope.
Yeah,
Alright.
it's got some interesting wording in there.
Yeah. It's Marcus wording.
Okay. Okay. I think I got it.
All right.
I should be fine.
So Mew, whenever you are ready. Yeah,
Swig.
exactly.
Spent the day trying to move and clear out branches in the backyard. So that's
I'm
been
sure.
fun. Okay. My levels sound good. I need to bring it up.
No, you're fine.
Good.
Sweet.
Alrighty. Go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. On this episode of the AIE Podcast.
It was a busy weekend for Blizzard news.
Torghast is getting more.
Stand by for the Tribunal celebration.
Beware. Oops. I mean, ready for the Ides of March.
Made me look behind me. And Kelsier's here to talk to us about AIE in Final Fantasy XIV.
Woo!
Yay!
All that and more coming up right now.
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
And welcome to episode 361 of the podcast celebrating you, the LA Yoctas gaming community. The Die Has Been podcast. This is Mewcow, and to my left is Makala.
Hey guys, there's still some beignets in the guild kitchen, and if you stick around later, there might be some cream puffs.
Yum.
And to her right, down below, is Tetsemi.
I got Blizzard No, wait, that was Mew that got Blizzard. I just got
Yeah.
Blizzard news. Okay.
Yeah, definitely different. Very, very different. But also joining us this week is special guest Kelsier,
Hey,
who is here to talk to us about AIE and Final Fantasy XIV. So we would like to welcome him.
thank you guys. Happy to be here.
Thanks
Glad
for
to have
joining
you.
us
Have
tonight.
you.
You bet. Always excited to talk about Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, definitely.
Yep. So let's go ahead and go around the room and see what everyone's been up to in real world stuff and otherwise, virtual, mental, all that kind of stuff. We'll start with Makala, who's over on there because she's a cyberwave.
I am a cyberwave. I have been since 1996.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, something like that. All right. Well, I've been rolling dice. What I do. We are still in August 1939 in France, where nothing is going to go wrong
No.
in
Nothing at
Call
all.
of Cthulhu. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nope. Just
That
exploring.
game is basically everything's perfectly nice simulator.
Everything's perfectly nice, especially in Europe in the late 30s.
Yep.
It's a delightful game. Please ignore the 6 people that we saw killed last week and then their bodies mysteriously vanished. That was fun. As we're investigating a series of possible vampire murders that might be related to a curse on a monastery from 1787.
Just little things.
Where somebody brought back something from the Crusades previously in 1130 called the Text of the Red Prophet. So yeah,
That's not good.
It's very delightful.
Some light
We did some-
reading.
we did some tomb raiding the other day, which is actually my character's second favorite activity. So second. That's other stuff she's into. So that was a good time.
With
Sure.
Nazis.
Okay, she has a type. Oh yes, and it was confirmed that her ex-boyfriend is now a Nazi, so that's a good time.
Of course he
Oh,
was.
fun.
Of course he is. Also, her last girlfriend might also be a Nazi. She has a type, evidently.
Ay.
Bad judgments. She makes bad judgments. But she has a 71 in archaeology, so she's really good at what she does. So that's where we are there. We are almost done with Sunless Citadel that we're doing with some of the folks from FERT, led by Ro. So that's been fun. We were going to play tonight, but Ro has some wrap up he needs to do with BlizzConline. And I have to be at work at 4 a.m. So starting a game at 8:45 gives us not long to play.
No.
So that was great. We have some of the components we need to remedy the situation with some of our the people we're searching for. They're under the influence of a demonic tree because it's D&D. I mean, it's not as bad as Call of Cthulhu, but there's some dark stuff there. That's been going great. We have made our way to Candlekeep on our Thursday game, and we are edging just so closer to going to hell. Guys, I think I have a type. I think I like some dark games. And in non-gaming news.
What's
Kind
that?
of gaming news. Actually, it's tangentially related to gaming news. Because if you ever play Vampire the Masquerade, you use small round stones as blood point tokens. And our cat ate one.
Oh,
Yeah.
And she started vomiting on Tuesday, and we got her into the vet on Thursday. They said there's a blockage. Try to help her get it out. They did some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't know what she ate it.
Yeah, that's true.
Her blood looked. All of her tests looked normal. She started throwing up really badly. Friday night. Took her in Saturday morning. They did an X-ray. Oh yeah, there's something stuck in there. So she went to the emergency vet yesterday. Last night, she had her operation this morning. She's doing great. So hey, don't let your cats eat small, round, glass stone things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, I'm glad
Not
she's doing better.
Yeah, she is. She is. Which really did kind of put a damper on watching much of the BlizzCon stuff, though, because we were a bit busy.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had plenty to do.
Yeah.
Then let's check in with Kelsier and see what he's been up to since. I don't know, how long has it been since we talked to you last? You got a lot to catch up on.
It's been a good while. Yeah. Big surprise. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14.
Excellent.
This is, I think, I was thinking about this the other day. I think this is like the first MMORPG I've basically been subscribed to since service began. I think there was like a 2-month gap where I had to quit for a little bit, but it still pulled me back, and I've been playing it so if they ever do a Blizzard statue type thing, I won't qualify, but I'll qualify in spirit.
There you go.
I've also been playing Hades, which I think is the big game to talk about.
The new hotness.
I'm not good enough. I have to use God mode, but I'm still really enjoying it.
Our daughter loves that game.
Yeah, it's so good. And I've also been dipping my toes back into Elder Scrolls Online, so
nice.
Some build crafty stuff. So been having lots of fun. Trying not to drown in all the rain hitting North Carolina, but I know there are way worse places to be right now, so I won't complain about that too much.
Yeah. You got the warm version of what we had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
he was on the edge.
Really full, but the dam is nice and secure, so I'll be fine.
It's like, here's us, Polar Vortex, Mew, Kelsier.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's true. Thankfully, we've had a few sunny days, and we actually got out of the house yesterday, so that was nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We went to go look at the lake since we, I have a boat that isn't at the marina right this second, but I'm part of that marina, and we got an email about the lake level, so we were like, well, we got to go look.
Right.
Yeah.
High. It's like, even when you know it's going to be high, it's still shocking to see it like trees underwater.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when it's 13, 14 feet above where it normally is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you guys before, it's 13 feet high, and it's just like horrifying.
Yeah, that's two of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were gonna they had like maintenance scheduled for the dam right now, so they ended up canceling that, but that was one of the reasons they couldn't open it. But they also can't open it because then they'll flood everything downstream.
Right.
It's already flooded.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I think they're thinking about opening it up to start draining, and I guess it drains a foot of the lake per day. But
oh wow.
Yeah, which is, and it's a pretty big lake. It's crazy, but
anyway. That's a lot of water heading downstream. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it opens, I'm also going to go down there and look at that because that.
You got to take pictures or. Yep.
Exactly.
Cool.
But yeah.
Oh, sounds like you have plenty to do. Then let's see what Tess has been up to, other than dodging freaking cats.
Mostly the cat. I have all 4 characters now are renowned cap, so they're current, which is good from what it sounds like with BlizzCon Line, with the 9.1 stuff. It took a little bit. My last alt that I took through was always like 1 or 2 renowned behind and wasn't getting like the daily or the weekly, but finally this week I killed the boss. That got me up to 33, and then one of the callings ticked me over to 34. So now I have the Covenant story done on all 4. I have the renowned capped on all 4. I just opened up the fighting arena in Bastion to poke at that, and that looks interesting, but that's my Shadow Priest. Thankfully, it's vehicle combat. I didn't realize this. You take your Soulbind, and basically you control your Soulbind. But the first fight is against the second in command to the Archon. I'm like, this is not fair. Yeah. I got her down to about 50%, but I'm like, really? This is the first, right? But you get something for failing, unlike Torghast. Like Torghast, you fail, you're out, you don't get anything. I got a blueprint. Now I have to go around and get supplies to make armor to supplement the soulbind, so they do better in the arena. So I kind of get what's going on here. On Tet, I've got the 3rd level of the Abomination Factory open. So I have 7 abominations that I get a weekly quest for that I still have to go do, because I usually save that for Sunday or Monday. I have not opened the Venthyr party yet. I don't really want to touch that until 905 comes, because then some of the fiddly parts get taken care of automatically. And then Ardenweld, I'm saving up to open the next level of the Conservatory. And on Tet, I did max out all the anima conductors, so I've got 5 of the 6 reinforced, but I now get the 6th one each day, and it gives 1 of 3 buffs that you can pick from, which is nice depending on your playstyle. My favorite is you get one that when the enemies hit you, you gain a stack occasionally of a frost buff, and then once it hits 5 stacks, the next hit triggers it, and it does like the Frost Nova from a mage and freezes everything in place. So I've been running around just like large packs of mobs and hitting everything, and then freeze them all, and then just clean them up. So I haven't tried it in Torghast yet, but I think it's going to be really useful in Torghast if they keep the buff. I don't know if they do. So
yeah, it's interesting where all that works. Like, have you tried it in Raid? Is it only open world?
Because I missed Raid because of work. It was a crappy week. I mean, long week. Work was one of my customers. Actually, 1, 2, 3. 3 of my customers have data centers in Texas, and one of them was running on, they had like data centers on either side of the street, and they were running on diesel generators, and one had like 50 hours left and one had like 90 hours left, and they didn't know if the diesel shipment was going to get there in time. It wasn't like they were out of power, but they weren't getting consistent power. So they ended up failing everything out of Texas data centers over to other data centers, and so we had to help with our application, make sure that all went smoothly. But yes, and I did poke my head back into Final Fantasy XIV. I'm catching up because I think the last time I played was September, October timeframe. I had been caught up, and then, WoW launched. So I was in the middle of that, and I just kind of set it aside, like, I'll catch up. I forgot that Final Fantasy XIV consistently puts out content, and you can fall behind really easily. So I haven't even seen the new area. What's it called? It starts with a B.
Bozja?
Bozja. Yeah, I haven't even seen that new area yet. So I'm trying to get up. I went through the first dungeon that I was behind on, and that was, I want to call her Magda, but that's not.
It's not
Master
the Hero
Montoya?
Gauntlet, the one
Master
that
Montoya's
relic.
Yeah, her hut where you had to go through the 4 different areas and get the stuff. That was really fun. That is a
fun. Really awesome dungeon.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know where to start describing that one because it's so
you can't.
But basically, it's her abandoned. What do you call it? Her abandoned not office.
Yeah.
But where she used to do all of her making and experimenting and whatnot.
You know what? Laboratory.
Craziness.
Laboratory.
Yeah, the magic laboratory.
Exactly.
It has a furnace with a wood pad on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yes.
The first thing I thought when I went in though was like, oh, they must have developed this around the same time they were working on the other side in WoW, because it's like, go to this area, it's a whole new area different from the dungeon, and then when you're done you come back to the main area, and
well, to be fair, I mean, Final Fantasy's been doing that for a while. Like, there's
I know. It just, thematically just kind of like went. Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like the
they-
gauntlet has you bounce
whatever
from zone to
inspired
zone.
the same them, they must have both seen at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And then I did SOTOR. I joined in the mandatory fun night, and I'm slowly working towards that 306 item level. I think I'm at 288, and I started out at like 282, so I'm just kind of chunking along. I enjoy how their item progression level works. It's just if you're not doing group content, it's very slow. If you try, it's not like WoW where you can solo and get caught up easily. So it's a little bit of a grind, but it's fun to work on. But Mew, I'm sure you have been very busy.
Yeah, inside and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, the frozen over elephant in the room, it has been the Texas blizzard because it's been fun. It started with a full inch of ice that coated everything.
Mhm.
That was just the beginning because the trees here don't know what that is, and
Right.
they're literally falling over. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
like we finally got out today, was able to see the damage. But yeah, there was. It looked like a hurricane came through because it
Yeah.
just took everything
Just
out
from the weight and then falling over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then on top of
Yeah.
that 1 inch of ice that coated everything, we had 6 inches of snow, and then we then had another 1 inch of ice that then covered everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
So-
North Carolina, which has some like the trees are kind of built for that. That happened
Yeah.
to us one year, and it still wrecked everything.
Mhm.
I had to hit
Yeah.
trees with the sticks to get the ice out.
Yeah, no, they warned us against that because they said that could be actually just as damaging to the trees, and just let them thaw out naturally, and that way they can, because but doing that causes like the fibers that help them hold up to get jostled. And
Makes sense.
That makes sense. That
Messes with
explains
the
a bit.
structural integrity.
Yeah.
Essentially, if the branch is gonna break because of the ice, it's gonna break. Like it may have even had something wrong with it, and so you're actually even kind of helping prune some of the bad branches.
Interesting.
But yeah, they warned us against that. I mean, some people did it anyway, but
Well, yeah.
but yeah, no, that was the main story for us. Is we were fortunate that we're on a power grid that shares with somebody that they kept on, because everybody else was getting rotating blackouts to where
blackouts. Yeah.
no full blackouts,
Right.
and some of them left. In fact, in the beginning, their blackout software was broken and just left people off for a day.
Oh, jeez.
It was
Oh
supposed
my gosh.
it was supposed to be doing half hour on, half hour off, but
Right.
the first batch of people had just left off. It's like,
Oh, jeez.
it's not working. And so, they finally eventually got it working, and so it was like you'd get like what was it, an hour and a half off and 3 hours on,
Yeah.
and that's just to rotate through things. But
Yeah.
because of everyone that was losing the power and couldn't heat their homes, then all of our water pipes started freezing over.
Mhm.
Yep.
And those started breaking, and then it was just a domino effect. We're not designed for it. It
No,
doesn't
no.
get that cold here.
Nope.
And certainly not with that that cold that long.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, because I mean, it's basically the jet stream was weakened because of the heat of our general area. The whole continent was just too hot, so it weakened the jet stream, allowing the polar vortex to dip down and
Yep.
froze us over.
Right.
Yep. Game
So,
over.
We're used to, we're more used to 110, 115 degree weather. That we're built for. Like these
Right,
houses
yeah.
are built to radiate that heat and get
Yep.
to let it out,
Right.
not to keep the heat in because we're being frozen.
Yeah.
No, I
But,
hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's but on top of all that, because of the snow ice, we were then trapped. We couldn't even if you needed to leave your house, you couldn't. There was nowhere to go because it was just this impassable pack
Right.
of stuff. So because I grew up in South Florida, I saw this coming. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the store, actually
Right.
go to a physical store and just pack and get ready for it. So we had what we needed, and we weathered the storm pretty well. And like I said, fortunate we had power.
Yeah.
But it was cold because we had power. They asked us, hey, turn your heat down. Don't
Right.
use any major appliances. Just basically sit there in the dark while everyone else is we didn't get turned back on.
Yeah.
So that was our fun time. But yeah, past that, I spent the rest of the time for the most part, playing Final Fantasy 14. I actually recently joined a static. Finally, I found one that actually did my late night stuff.
Oh, nice.
Because it needs to be late enough that like I'm done with work. Everyone's gone to bed, but ends before I have to go to bed.
Right.
So
Right.
that was kind of a tricky balancing act. But I did finally find one, so I've been learning what it really means to play a Final Fantasy 14 because playing statics it feels like Mythic WoW raiding.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's like a whole nother level of
Stand on this pixel, not that pixel.
Yes. It's literally a dance. Like and even though Final Fantasy 14 has really good telegraphs for what's happening, when they kick it up to it's called Savage raiding, but think of Mythic.
Yeah.
The telltales aren't always on the ground. It's the boss itself doing it. Like their hand will glow, saying they're about to throw down, and the whole room is going to throw down because of this one glowing hand. Or their body is glowing, so it's going to be radiating out from them. Or they winked over here, so they're going to check over there. It's like these weird little tells, and you have to just get used to that. And not only that, you essentially have to memorize the order of things. So this tell means these next 5 things are going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, and they don't really have anything like DBM to warn you. They have some external tools to help, and it requires doing stuff that they don't support because it has to like pay attention to your logs or it has to snoop in on your memory, and they don't like that. So it's a little harder to get that done. But it's a fascinating thing to watch the dance, and as you start to learn it and figure it out, it does feel better. It's like when you go back to like regular dungeons and raids, you're like, wow, this is just easy. Like, what am I doing?
it's everything is actually telegraphed. Boring.
Yeah, I know. It's
exactly.
Like, that telegraph's true. Huh, that's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing too.
It wasn't a fake.
Nice.
Well, yeah, no, it will fake you out sometimes, and you have to know, looking at the telegraph, that telegraph is off a little bit. That means that's a fake one. And you're like, what? Really?
Oh wow!
You've been teaching us to follow these telltales. Why are you doing this? Why are you this way? Who hurt you?
What's wrong with you?
Who hurt you? Yeah.
I know. And some of those sneak in on the normal level stuff. I was doing Orbone Monastery, and there's one mechanic where it'll do lines on the ground of the telegraph, but you'll also see like wind going by, like with little bits of light through it, and the telegraphs will shift right before they cast to the left or to the west or east. So kind of like it's almost better to stand in the telegraph, and then it will move away.
Right. Yeah. Or there's the one where you're on the flying ship and the Leviathan. I hate that first fight. Everything else in that dungeon's fine. That first fight, you invariably lose like 3/4 of the raid over because you're not behind the ice block that you didn't see coming. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That one was the end of many raid groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been great. I mean, it's like I've unlocked a whole different level of the game, and it's just fascinating to dig into there, and and some other stuff we'll talk about that's been happening. But I've been doing some fun crafting because of the the foundation area.
Right.
It's definitely firing on all cylinders right now. But it's going to be a while because they'll have some bits of content coming, but they announced other stuff that won't come until probably the fall. So we gotta settle in, and so I figure once we get things on farm, then I can delve back into all the other games because I have been playing WoW, but it's like the bare minimum. Like it's I show up for raid, and that's essentially it. Like the characters I care about are done with their Covenant campaigns. And it's at a point now where, if I happen to get the renown this week, okay, great. If not, oh well, I'll get it next week. Yeah. I mean, the catch up makes it easier that way. And, it's probably a good thing. But no, I'm definitely all in on Final Fantasy 14 right now.
Awesome.
Cool.
But we'll talk about that plenty more as we have all kinds of Final Fantasy 14 news shortly. But let's cover everything else that's going on in this week's news.
All right.
AIE News.
All right, let's go ahead and start with Guild Podcast news. SWTOR Escape Podcast, which, by the way, can be found at newworldoverlords.com. SWTOR Escape Podcast 370, Master Mode Conquest. They have won a conquest planet the hard way last week with over 149 million conquest points.
Yep.
Along the way, they learned a thing or two about conquest to the extremes. They bring out Conquest Leader BC to talk about that and more. And in Working Class Nerds, by the way, they are at workingclassnerds.wordpress.com. Episode 96, WCN Upgrade. The boys sit down with a great friend of the show, Kogas. They talk about all the fun and exciting things in their gaming lives and finish with an interesting discussion about energy drinks. That must have been very buzzed. All right. Oh, that explains because okay, so guys, the text is written like boys. Yeah. So it's written down like somebody's had way too much caffeine. Now I get it. That's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
That's fabulous. All right, In-Fleet Action Report, which by the way can be found on YouTube.com. Fleet Action Report 30, a call to arms, TFO. Yep. Fleet Action Report 30, a call to arms, TFO. Nicholas and Gribog talk you through the TFO that are part of the 11th anniversary event. They talk about tactics, what to expect, and what needs to be done. In Fleet Action Report 31, Enemies Part 6, they are back again with another episode on enemies. This time, Nicholas and Gribog take on the Heralds and the Iconians. And in Fleet Action Report 32, Guest Stars Part 4, the folks discuss and show you the voice actors from 2017 and 2018.
And in Nomad's news, Diablo 2 remastered, Diablo 3, and Diablo 4, and Diablo Immortal. If you didn't get enough Diablo news, you didn't watch Diablo Online. Yep. it really was Diablo Online, not BlizzConline. Yeah, much news about the Diablos, and we put a link to the deep dive recap for everything from the remastering 2, news about Seasons in 3, what's going on with 4, and Immortals Tech Alpha. So if you need an invite to the clan or the community for Diablo 3, ask in Discord. And Destiny 2, Season of the Chosen is live in week number 2. AIE is rating on PC current content, Deep Stone Crypts.
And over in WoW, as expected, patch 9.0.5 and patch 9.1 content information were the major focus for BlizzConline for Warcraft Retail. Flying will be available by progressing through the new Covenant story, and you will get a Covenant theme mount as well, which means no reputation grinds. It's just Covenant grind.
Yep.
It's renown and all that fun stuff. So
just do the story.
That'll be a nice change. And they also mentioned that it's unlocked for the entire account. So if you do it on one Covenant, then you're good for everyone else.
Yep.
That was a nice little thing they made. Okay. Let's see here. Ground mounts will no longer shiver with fear and will be able to be summoned in the maw. Interesting. Also, as part of the Covenant storyline, a new Covenant-themed armor set will be rewarded.
Yep.
It showed up often. Did they ever explain why there was 5 sets instead of 4, or is that was just a different version of?
I think that was just they were showing. I think 2 of them actually are Venthyr. They're just different colors, but they didn't explain why they were different colors.
Yeah, that was curious. Yeah. Right. Also, they mentioned that a new landmass will be our foothold into the Maw. It's uncovered, being called Korthia, and we're curious what secrets of the first ones hold. There will also be a new 10-boss raid, the Sanctum of Dominion. It will launch with the true Eye of the Jailer, the Terragru, who's been chasing us, Forgast, and Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas as raid bosses. Interesting.
Yep.
A new 8-boss mega dungeon Tazavesh, the Veiled Market, will be available at Mythic 0 difficulty during launch. And yes, it does involve a bank heist.
Oh, fun!
So Ocean's 11 meets the Brokers. Let's see what happens. Torghast is also getting new layers, a new wing with new enemies and traps. So all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, I was definitely very interested in what they were talking about, so I'm looking forward to that in future content.
Definitely. All right, and a WoW Classic news, Rating and Classic continues with the United Orgrimmar team, who are active every week. During BlizzCon Line, the Burning Crusades Classic was announced, and it'll come with the option to move forward to TBC, stay with Classic, or with the paid service per character to keep a character in each type of server. We're just beginning to discuss how the AIE Guild and United Orgrimmar will proceed, so keep an eye on the WoW Classic channel and Discord.
Yep. Just a quick comment on that. I thought they handled that in the best way possible.
Yeah, there's some good innovations on that.
And it sounds like they're actually going to upgrade the existing servers, and then they're cloning those servers who want to stay in Classic.
Exactly. Classic. And there will be a level 58 boost for Burning Crusade servers only, but not for Blood Elves and not for Draenei. I almost said Space Goats. Those you have to level from 1 up. So
yeah,
they said there'll be plenty of time during the pre-patch to do that. I'm wondering if they've ever played Classic, because getting 1 to 60 is not quick. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And in a galaxy far, far away, it's been a quiet week in SWTOR, with guildies recovering from the Total Galactic War and spending some time on their Imperial characters after going out all out on the pub side the previous week. Patch 6.2.1, which was scheduled to be released last Tuesday, was delayed when Austin's BioWare studio was impacted by the calamitous weather in Texas. There's no new date announced yet. Stay tuned.
Yeah, their office is right down the highway from here.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that's why I was waving at you. I'm like, yeah.
I guess that's what happens when Hoth comes to Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, it felt like Hoth.
Hoth comes to Tatooine.
We just didn't have any tauntauns to cut open and cuddle in, so
couldn't even stay lukewarm. All right.
Oi.
Come join us for Mandatory Fun Night on Tuesdays. We alternate between the Republic and Imperial sides each week. There are no gear or experience requirements. However, some activities do require a character level of 70. We will always let you know when this is the case. Even if you're just starting out, come join us in Discord and listen to Storytime with Max.
Oh, gosh.
Right. Over in Elder Scrolls Online, the ESO crew has had several new members join, and they're helping them with training gear, leveling, sky shard farming, and falling off the cliffs. I mean, other fun things. Lots of busy MFN nights, to be sure. They're focusing on clearing zones of sky shards, deleting world bosses, and rampaging through public dungeons last couple of MFNs. The Tribunal celebration in-game starts on February 25th, 2 days from now, and it runs until March 9th. As with prior in-game events, we will be focused on doing the daily dungeon and world boss quests, as well as public dungeons in Vardenfeld and Clockwork City for MFNs during this time. They want to help guild members get as many of the rewards as possible. Also, the first DLC for the Gates of Oblivion year-long event comes out on March 8th, right as that's ending, for PC, Mac, and March 16th for the console. The DLC is titled Flames of Ambition, and will have 2 new dungeons. There will be a full reset of skill points and champion points when Upstate 29 drops. People may want to prepare for that.
Awesome. And in Guild Wars 2 news, the next Dungeon of Morrowind will be on the Ides of March, which is the 15th of March for those who have not, read too much Julius Caesar and Shakespeare in college and high school. And in Lotro news, 225 to 3.1 is the VIP event booster. So on 227, they'll be helping out kin members level up their tunes. Monster Play has been quiet for the server, so they'll pause as a guild until it picks back up. There's supposed to be a new build to hit the Bull Rotor later this week.
Yeah, and Ides of March, yeah, I now take that day off from work every year because
Good idea.
it's hit me more than a few times.
At you, Brute?
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for that.
Yep.
So, I think people are forgetting the purpose of the Ides of March. It's about stabbing people in the back repeatedly. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, stabbing's my favorite activity. Oh,
Wait, I do love a rogue. That is one of my favorite classes. So
then you might enjoy what they talked about in Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diablo 4 was one of the things they announced, the new rogue class.
Yep. Our daughter is very excited about that because her girlfriend loves playing rogues.
I'm gonna be curious if it's a Banshee rogue or just a stab all the things rogue. But enough about all that. Let's get back to Kelsey here, who's been patiently waiting and find out what's going on in Final Fantasy XIV.
Awesome.
Ooh, so much exciting stuff. So
late breaking news there.
Yeah, I know. Thankfully, Zoot, thank you for reminding me. Right now, Final Fantasy has a free login campaign. So if you've previously had an account and want to check if anything today sounds interesting, you can log in for free between now and March 31st. I think once you log in, you get like 7 days or something like that. Unfortunately, this is so late breaking, I didn't have time to read the details and read it in detail. But
I think it was like 4 days. I want to say
4 days.
You have like 7 days to do 4 days worth of content or something crazy like that. I forget what, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So time it so that you can come to map nights on Saturday because it's tons of fun.
That helps, yeah.
And on a similar vein, if anything we talked today sounds interesting, Final Fantasy has a really cool trial. So you can join and play the base game so that's up to level 50, and Heaven's Word, which is still considered one of the best expansions for Final Fantasy and storylines in Final Fantasy for free. So that's up until level 60. And if Heaven's Word is amazing, and A Realm Reborn, it gets some flack, but they've streamlined it a bit, and it's really great too. So yeah, definitely sign up. Recently they announced that they had their online fan festival, and they announced that the next patch 5.5 part 1 is getting released April 13th. That'll be part 1 of the story leading to the next expansion, which is called Endwalker. Part 2 will be a little bit later date between the April 13th and the release of Endwalker in fall 2020.
They have to spread things out a little bit because of them working at home. So slowing things down a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, this would have been announced a lot sooner, and the expansion would be coming sooner, but they like everyone else, was hit with the COVID delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big part of it is because of their QA. Is QA is not easy for them to do from home, so they have to very safely set up a QA environment for people to work at. So they can only do so much of that, and that's a big part of it. Is they want to make sure things are polished when they send it out to us.
Yeah, Final Fantasy is interesting. It's one of the few online RPGs that don't have a PTR, but still don't put out buggy patches. They're cute. They've definitely got QA down.
Yeah.
In terms of what's happening with that patch and the expansion, the antagonist of this story arc has basically declared to us he's setting out about recreating the final days, which is about as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's an event barely remembered that happened in the distant past and resulted in everything that has occurred up until now, basically. So we'll likely see the first parts of his plan come to fruition with that patch. It'll also have the last raid in the Nier Automata tie-in. And as a side note, as someone who has had no investment in Nier, I didn't play the games. This storyline has turned out to be really great. Like they've actually done a really good job on tying it in, and the people who have played Nier seem to love it even more than me. So
yeah, I will say it is a faithful sequel to Nier Automata. Like obviously the gameplay is different, but like it's amazing how closely the raid encounters have actually matched stuff that happens in the Nier Automata game. Like it's amazing. Like new stuff really cool. They had to put in there. Yeah, Not to mention, like, giving us the outfits and some of the the weaponry and obviously some of the little pets. Like, it's kind of funny to see the little floating robots running around in Final Fantasy 14. Like, you shouldn't be here. You don't belong.
I
How
know.
are you there?
And if you're like me and am a giant cat man, you can still wear the 2B outfit.
Yes. 2B is gender agnostic.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
We're also
including those
gonna get
impressive heels. Like, wow.
Yeah. Oof. And like we'll also get the end of the Sorrows of Werelit storyline, which has been where we get to fight the various weapons from Final Fantasy VII, only with the Final Fantasy 14 twist. If you want a really engaging but very sad storyline, Sorrows of Werelit is where you want to go.
And also some of the best boss music.
Yes.
We like to call it the Big Fat Taco song.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're saying big fat tacos, a big fat tacos, a big
Yeah,
fat tacos, so big.
It does sound like that. Also, if you wanted a little Neon Genesis Evangelion in your Final Fantasies, this is also the place to go. Hoo boy, that first one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, in the sound effects. Oh
God,
man, they did too good of a job on the sound effects.
It's like they've upped the cutscene quality they've been able to do since like A Realm Reborn, almost to detrimental effect because it's really horrifying.
Like, too much detail.
Oh,
okay, back it up.
I just want everyone to stand around nodding like in Realm Reborn now instead of all this awfulness.
It's like a weird, uncanny valley kind of.
To give you an idea, there's a mecha that you're fighting and you beat it down. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to activate my ultimate mode, and then it cracks open in the most sickening possible way, and something comes out of it, and things happen, and it's it's too much detail.
Yeah.
As somebody that's favorite current pen and paper RPG is Call of Cthulhu, I gotcha. I'm good. All right.
Yeah.
If you want, there's not exactly Elder God stuff in Final Fantasy 14, but there is a lot of that. Like there is stuff on that kind of horror,
that creepy,
some of the things. Like Mew, do you remember when you're playing as the Dragoon guy in that one thing, and there's a guy attached to a piece of machina, and he goes like screams as he wakes up? That was really horrifying.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
The Guardians do some nasty things to people, all in the name of weaponry.
Yeah, it's bad. Great, but bad.
Yeah.
And also, not exactly when patch 5.5 releases, but a little bit down the line, we'll get more of the Save the Queen storyline, which has been the Boja stuff, which is the stuff I'm hosting on Thursdays. Great time to jump into that. Really fun stuff. You get access to actions that let you do stuff outside of your job's role. So, like, I was tanking on a dancer, which is not what you do as a dancer, and it was a lot of fun.
Definitely not. No, and you get healing abilities and shields, and the shields that they took away from us. It's like, oh, hey, we get this back. It's fun.
You can just cast death on things.
Yeah.
That's lots of fun. And then the usual bag of goodies, like more dungeons, crafting updates, all that kind of stuff. So lots to look forward to with patch 5.5. They'll probably also expand the rewards for their Final Fantasy's treasure dungeons, which is something we go and do every Saturday. So excited to see what new pieces of treasure, or new outfits will come out of that, because some of the best glamours in the game, which is kind of Final Fantasy's transmog system, come out of those things. So.
By the way, I know you love a good toga. Did you see the Bastion armor set from WoW?
I did pull this up just now when you guys were talking about it, because I was curious what those mounts looked like. That looks amazing.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be many a toga party in Bastion. Yep.
I can be I can be a cat man wearing a toga in Final Fantasy 14, and I can be a bull man or a werewolf wearing a toga in World of Warcraft.
Hey,
you're good.
All they need to do is add a good toga to Elder Scrolls Online, and I can be a lizard wearing a toga and be
there you go,
and be truly happy. Yeah, and we also got the announcement for Endwalker, which is the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. Despite having the word "end" in it and some misinformation that came out of the rumor mill, this is not the last expansion for Final Fantasy XIV.
It's making too much money.
Yeah, it's making way too much money, is way too successful, and is way too much fun. So they can't end the hype train quite yet. So, but it is going to be the end of the storyline that started in 1.0 / A Realm Reborn. So that's really exciting. I don't want to go too deep into what that storyline is because a lot of it comes out of the Shadowbringers, the recent one. But very, very hyped. Everyone's really excited. The main story writer for Shadowbringers, Natsuko Ishikawa, is writing this expansion as well. So everyone's very excited because Shadowbringers was amazing.
Yeah, she's written some amazing stuff. Like the way they tied up essentially like everything up until now in this nice, neat bow, and then given us more.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
One of the things I thought has been coolest to see in Shadowbringers, especially where a lot of those loose ends were tied up, like you could tell. Obviously they didn't quite know where they were going in Heaven's Word and A Realm Reborn, but they don't retcon everything. Like like there's this one guy who's just a mustache twirling crazy person in A Realm Reborn, and they actually managed to provide some justification for why he was that crazy when the background they established for him was different from that, which I thought was so cool. But anyway, some of the if you ever hear about stuff quoted, people saying, "Oh, this is the best storyline," Natsuko Ishikawa probably wrote it. The Dark Knight quest line, some of the better parts of Stormblood, and obviously Shadowbringers and all that.
Yeah.
So really excited for that. One thing that caused some of the misinformation with it being the last expansion was that Endwalker, most of the time with the Final Fantasy expansions, you have a self-contained story in the expansion that still has some loose ends at the end of it that they then resolve in the 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 patches. But Endwalker will actually be completely self-contained, and patch 6.1 will start the next story arc of Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, because normally the 0.0 is just ramping up into the main story of whatever that expansion is, and then like the 1, 2, and essentially the 3 is how they end it.
Yep.
And this time it's like, nope, it's all over at 6.0. Boom, done.
Exactly. And it's going to be cool. We're going to be journeying to a lot of places they've mentioned that we've met people from in a realm since Realm Reborn, like Rad's Hand, and I think we're probably going to Charland based on some things, but they haven't said that exactly. And we're going to the moon, which which might look like our moon, but it's probably the remains of a defeated god. So we'll see what happens up there. He's been coming back into some relevance in the story, so we'll see what happens there. And they're also excited to announce 2 new jobs. We've gotten confirmation on one, which is the Sage, which will be a new healer. And we know that the next one is going to be a melee DPS, but beyond that, we don't have much to go on. Sage is going to be a barrier healer, kind of think old discipline where priest, where you use barriers and heals to protect your allies. And what's interesting about them is that instead of having a staff or a cane or a astrolabe like Astrologian, you actually have these things, or a book like Scholar.
Go over the head with.
You're not slicing people with cards like Astrologian. You have these things called Nulliths, which are like these crystal magic apparati that kind of float around you and you control with magic. So if your problem with healing is that it's not flashy or stylish or cool, Sage is probably going to be your cup of tea. I would look that up, the review trailer for that up.
if you enjoy shooting people to heal them, I mean, this is where you're going to want to go.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then we've gotten some vague hints on what the melee DPS it might be. There's been the consensus of the rumor mill seems to be that there'll be a scythe wielding job. But we also thought this healer job would be a chemist that or something. So, and we were completely wrong. So, and the hint that we got for Samurai last expansion was that Yoshida was wearing, who's the producer and director of the game, was wearing a Spider-Man shirt, which was directed by Sam Raimi. Which if you're Japanese, you can't say it's Samu Raimi, which sounds like samurai.
Right.
Yeah.
So it literally could be anything. The only things we know for certain is that it's melee DPS and it's going to use the same armors that Dragoon does. So,
which is good because it's always been weird that they've kind of been their own armor area.
Oh god, that was a pain collecting it. I went back and collected the level 50 and then the level 60, of each, and it was always like, and here's Dragoon. I'm like,
yeah.
Why?
I know, it's cool because then they can have a different aesthetic from Monk and Samurai, but if you are running out of space in your inventory, it
that doesn't help you much.
Did they say what level they'll start at?
They'll start at level 70, so you have to have a job at level 70 to unlock it, but there's a lot of great healers in Final Fantasy 14, so if you're starting, you'll be able to just get to level 70, pick up Sage, and keep going.
Okay.
And a lot of people are real jazzed. A lot of the Scholar community is actually thinking of going to Sage because they've always liked Scholar, but they've not liked the aesthetic. So Sage gives them kind of something in a similar vein. And that's the other thing too, is they kind of announced that they're actually splitting healers. So now they're going to officially say that this is a pure throughput healer, and this is a barrier healer.
Yep.
So that's the interesting thing.
Yeah, and Astrologian, which is my main job, has been kind of a hybrid where you can change stances before out of combat to be a shield healer or a throughput healer, and they're planning on changing it to be a pure throughput healer.
Okay.
And if you're a former Astrologian and you're like, what? The general recommendation from all the guides and stuff is just to stay as a throughput healer instead. So for the most part, people aren't probably going to miss anything from their kit.
Yeah, it's because back then you had to literally be ready to play with either the White Mage or the Scholar. So they always had the ability to, I'm with a Scholar, let me do throughput. Oh, I'm with a White Mage, let me do barriers. So, it makes sense. That's why they're going to lean them towards, because they could always do throughput healing. They just didn't have to. So
right.
Yeah, interesting.
And they're not tied to any other class. I know,
no, they haven't done that since basically the original Realm Reborn.
Okay.
Shops. So you're just a Sage. And if people don't know what you're talking about, so if you started playing Final Fantasy 14 and you wanted to be a White Mage, you would actually start as something called a Conjurer. And then at level 30, you get to do a job quest to become a White Mage.
Right.
And that does that for a couple. But everything released since Heaven's Word is just the job.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no pre-class or pre-job.
No, don't have to have something
levels.
Specific level. You could level a monk to level 70 and then just switch to Sage, and now you're a Sage.
Right. Okay.
That's at level 70. So.
Are they doing anything new with Blue Mage, or is it still staying the same?
They've already upped the level cap to, I think, 70.
Yep, 70.
So you can now do level 70 content with them. But as we go to 90, they made that thing go up to 80. Because they don't want them to be able to do current content, because that's just not how it's designed to be.
Yeah. It's just a weird one-off class.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So I have to say that Blue Mage started off kind of weak. I feel like when they were first released, but they, as far as I can tell, they've gotten really amazing with the new spells they got at 60.
It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to work on mine now.
Yeah, I have to invest some more time in mine.
I know. That's I've leveled every class to cap except Blue Mage. I still have to work on that.
Yeah, and the whole Coliseum thing with them is really fun to do too. After you've gone out and gathered all the really good spells, and then it's definitely a single player fun experience to kind of go through. And that's one of the things that's always been amazing about Final Fantasy 14 is unlike WoW says we're a multiplayer game. Final Fantasy 14 is we're a single player game that you can play with your friends with. That's always been a big difference between the two. So
it's you do have to run dungeons to get through the story, but even that, now they have trusts and stuff, so you can do by yourself at first.
Yeah, finally the AI is improved enough that it can figure things out and know where it needs to go. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really like about Final Fantasy. There is something for everyone. If you want to be a crafter, you can. It's there. Like the rotations for a crafter is like doing Savage raiding. If you're at that high
It
level.
is.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Yes.
It's not just I click a button and I craft the thing.
It's like, okay, I do this. If this procs, then I can do this. If it doesn't proc, then I got to fill in and hope this procs. Yeah. No, learning that, because I got everything to cap as far as level wise, but then I was still, doing some of the other stuff in Foundation to be able to unlock the crafting tools and some of the other stuff. And it was always like, how do you make this? There's not enough skill points. Oh, you got to do this and this, and then
got to get the gear and
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's a fun. If you like crafting, that is a fun game in its own.
Yeah, and especially with all the stuff you can do with Foundation now, with like the Kupo of Fortune. Even though most of the realms have basically done have finished the Foundation storyline, you can still contribute to the place.
Yeah.
So, and if you're doing the highest level of whatever that crafting is to turn it in, you get points for the Kupo of Fortune, and that's a little scratch-off card game. And you get some really cool things out of that. Like, the current hotness is the casual attire coffer. That's like the first prize on Kupo of Fortune. And it's such interesting. It's modern looking clothes, like modern Earth looking clothes that you can wear in Final Fantasy 14. And it's such an interesting. It's jarring, but not in a bad way. It's like
it's a weird dichotomy.
Yeah.
It's like the super rare clothing is modern looking, which kind of makes sense in a way, in a weird way. It's like this is really hard to make and needs really specific materials, but we can do it.
Yeah.
Like they one of the last outfit they released with the treasure dungeons, you look kind of like a biker punk.
That's fun.
Baseball hat, which is it's really awesome.
Yeah, you can get a pair of Keds and some shorts and a nice T-shirt and run around casual. Yeah, and before that there was a very comfy looking what's the name of that outfit? The Ugg boots and the comfy sweater.
Yep.
That's
like,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun, but it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of style gaming version where different things rotate.
Fashion Fantasy 14 is the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to put that down. That may be a show title in itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But it's like a bunch of dragons playing humans in offices.
Yes.
It's just kind of funny when they chase after the casual clothes.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, we got a couple of people showing off some of the outfits and.
Yeah. No, that is very.
That looks like they just stepped out of the MCU.
Yeah.
or like a Imperial ISB during the Galactic Civil War kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's literally something. I mean, we didn't even touch on the Animal Crossing clone that looks like they're putting in the game.
Oh yeah, I know they announced so much stuff. It was hard to get it all down. Like there's something where you're going to get an island that you can, farm on, which is going to be really interesting.
Build it out, farm, and it's not even
have
just
your pets run around.
But you can have your pets run around. You can breed them. You can grow stuff. You can farm. It's going to be like literally stuff from everyone, regardless of what you do in the game. So
neat.
I know there's some really exciting stuff coming.
Very cool.
We can talk all night about it. But,
and all the fun stuff you can be doing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so the guild has been really active in Final Fantasy lately, and if now is a really good time to start because there is tons of really really cool content. People have said Shadowbringers is probably the best storyline of a Final Fantasy game since not just of an MMO Final Fantasy, all the Final Fantasies.
Yes.
So,
and they literally bring in these storylines of other Final Fantasies just to enhance it. So it's
right.
Yeah,
there's so much history to play with, so.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say if you want to join, don't buy the level skip potion. I think you need a Realm Reborn and all of those to really make Shadowbringers that much better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth it. All the story is just amazing.
Yep, that all ties in. Yeah, and not to mention you can play for free to level 60. So
Yeah.
you might as well do that to get your full money's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
for free.
Yeah, and it's not that restrictive of a like
No.
you get to go to level 60 and experience one of the like the second best storyline, and some people still consider it the best storyline in Final Fantasy 14. So definitely give it a try, and hit us up in the Final Fantasy channel here if you have any questions.
Yep.
Excellent.
Alrighty, so that we don't talk about this even further, let's go ahead and end it there. I know, but it's been a great show for tonight. So while the chat room starts suggesting some show titles, although we have a few of our own, we definitely want to thank Kelsier for joining us. So thank you, Kelsier.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been fun, and we want to. I guess we don't have anything there to plug.
No.
Kelsier, do you have anything to plug yourself? Twitter, websites, etc., etc.
Nope, you can find me in Discord and in Final Fantasy 14. Kelsier, not really a Twitter or a streamer person, so but very active on Discord. So come hit me up.
Awesome. All right, and if you have questions or comments for the show, you can email us at podcast@aie-guild.org. You can follow us on Twitter. The show is at AIE Podcast. Mew is at The Mew Cow. I am at Cyberwaif, and Tetsemi is at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and play along with us on our website, aie-guild.org, podcast-live-stream, and our Discord server for chat is aie-guild.info/discord. For past episodes, you can see them on our YouTube channel. Search for the AIE Podcast. Our website was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul or visit his website, andrewallenmusic.com.
And now it's time to play all of the great AI member segments we received this week, which we did not receive anything, but hopefully Buxley has survived real life and other things going on. I've seen him very busy in WoW, and we look forward to hearing more segments.
Right. Next time we'll be talking to Cyrene and maybe a guest or two to talk about AIE in WoW, because some stuff was talked about for WoW. So
Definitely,
you talked about that. So until then, AIE. This is Mew Cow.
This is Makala.
This is Tetsemi.
And this has been the AIE Podcast.
Yay!
Oh, excellent show.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming.
You bet.
Yeah, let's talk about that for ages. There's
I know.
so much more in my back pocket that I haven't even mentioned.
I know, it's like I could go in about like Boja and like all the cool stuff that's happening. It's hard to know when it's like, okay, this is when people are going to stop listening.
Right.
I keep telling Abbo, and he keeps mentioning it. You guys need your own Final Fantasy 14 podcast for AIE like we have SOTOR.
I know.
Because honestly, because it is so active.
Yeah.
And they're always adding content. So honestly, like when we get the show notes, you guys are always the biggest because there's always stuff going on with what they're adding and doing.
Yeah.
And there really isn't much in the way of podcasts for Final Fantasy 14. There are a few out there.
Yeah,
but I don't know. None of them really hit me in a way that makes me want to keep going back to them. So
yeah, I've experienced that too. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
like there's a couple YouTube creators that I like, but they don't put stuff out that often either. It's interesting. Well, one of them has started.
I think it's because people are too busy playing the game. They can't. They don't have time to step back and actually talk about it.
It's true.
I will say that it's very hard to listen or watch anything when you're playing Final Fantasy 14 because you're always in a cutscene or listening to the music or something.
Yeah,
it's rough.
I'll say, or amazing music is playing.
Yeah,
I remember I was listening to someone talking about Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft, and they were like, my favorite thing about the World of Warcraft music is I can turn it off. Like with I know, which is a little harsh, but I guess what they meant is the game doesn't lose that much without it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
14 is like the music is so good and so it matches what you're doing so well almost all the time that it's hard to leave it off.
It's like I raid in Castle Nathria, music's off because it's just kind of like filler background music.
Right.
But like last night I did twinning. and it's just like you like no, let me turn that up real quick. Dun, da, da, da. It's like it's just so catchy, and then you get to the end boss, and it does the Alexander theme, and you're just like, it's yeah. They put so much effort and love into even the music. I mean, yes, the main themes for WoW, they put a lot of effort in music, but that's it. Like that's everything else is. They are very old school, where like everything else is background name music, and they don't want to distract you from what's going on. But like Final Fantasy, like no, I'm gonna go full out. We're gonna jam on this, and while we're doing stuff.
Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of music and fights in the game was released with 5.3, which was the I can't talk about the fight because it's a massive spoiler, but like it had the music and the lore of that fight tie in so perfectly together, because the guy you're fighting, so your character has the echo, which sometimes lets you peer into a person's past.
Yeah.
And this guy's past is so ancient and so messed up because of things that have happened to him that the echo flashback is kind of like garbled and staticky. And the music in that fight, the voice track to the music has that kind of same quality to it.
Yeah.
Where it's slightly distorted and staticky, and it's so cool. I love that song.
That's great.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's really well done.
Yeah, there are several points in this latest expansion where it's just like even playing it because I've played through it several times because I just can't get enough of it, and it's every time it just hits you.
Yeah. I was watching a video of Jesse Cox going through the end of Shadowbringers, and it was just, I was there with him so emotionally during that, because it's just like such an emotional moment in that. It was cool. The music is so good in that part, and then just the dialogue and the voice acting.
Cool. All right, chat room, we have our show titles. We're gonna let Kel pick, and we'll surprise you on the feed. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Thank you, chat room, as always. You guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.